And we're live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Bearded Men of Real Estate Show. I'm Ray. Say hi, Dan.
Hi, Dan.
And this is Dan, and both of us are real estate agents. Dan is in LA. I'm in Arkansas. So we span the globe, depending on which way you travel. And we are here.
I'm in LA, Lower Arkansas.
No, not quite. That is what some people call Lower Arkansas. You shouldn't. If you're joining us live, you could comment live and we could display your comments on the screen because we are broadcasting in YouTube and Facebook. We are also broadcasting in Clubhouse. And so as we get into some of the stories today, if you have any comments, you'll be able to make those comments audio and join the show. Your comments will live forever in the podcast universe because you will actually be part of the show. Your audio will be there and you'll also be part of the live show too. So thank you guys so much for joining. Let's see, we have Matt and Lance and Nico. I tried to bring up Lance, but it didn't let me. So Matt, I'm going to try to bring you up. I'd love for you to help me test this audio here just to make sure that it's working. I'll bring up Clubhouse in the show. All right. Maybe it's pull refresh. That's what it was. Okay. So they are in the show. Lance, tell me who you are and where you're from, man.
I'm in Houston, Texas. I'm the CEO of realty.com.
There you go. Awesome. Well, thanks for joining the show. Lance is awesome. If he hangs out in a room long enough, he starts sending referrals to people. It's been pretty rad to watch him in a room. Like he'll be in a room, he'll be like, "Hey, I got $1.3 million lead for this area. Anyone want it?" So it's pretty.
What's the over under? Does he have to be in there 5 minutes and he sends a referral, or is it more like 10 or 20?
Yeah, how long do you have to be in there, Lance, before you start throwing out referrals?
Usually, as soon as I get called on, I've got one in my pocket.
That's amazing.
It's kind of like the theory about it, you get busier when you're about to go on vacation, kind of thing. So, like the second he goes live, he's about to talk on Clubhouse. He's like, "Oh, hold on."
All the leads just start trucking. Well, Lance probably doesn't know this. I don't know if you've ever checked out our show before, Lance, but you're not the first CEO. We've had Remax executives. We'd have a couple of other CEOs. There's one CEO in particular that we'd love to have on the show that reached out to us through one of his, the company reached out to us and we were like, "Hey, if your CEO wants to come on the show, we'd love to have him." So Lance, we'd love to have you on the video version of this show in the future too, just so you can comment on some of this stuff that's happening in the marketplace, specifically the Zillow thing that's happening. I mean, that's going to be a huge story today. We're going to talk about Zillow purchasing properties for the Zestimated Value. So if you'll hang out with us for about 5 minutes, that's going to be the first story. We also have some stories about Compass losing money, which is weird because they are about to file for an IPO. And part of the filing, they released that they lost like $270 million last year.
I know. And don't they usually over exaggerate? Like Zillow's always like, no, we made like 300 million. I mean, we lost 180 million on our iBuyer thing, but we still made they usually do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So revenue versus. Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. So Clubhouse just added a whole bunch of people to the room that were not here before. So thanks for updating Clubhouse. I thought there were like 4 people. It was me, you, Lance, and Matt, and like Nico and a couple of others. But no, there's like a whole ton of people in here. So hello.
Pull the refresh.
Yeah. And Matt, let me make you a mod, Matt, so that you can. All right. So Matt is the moderator. As you guys raise your hands, Matt can pull you up. I can't hear you say anything until I actually hit a button on my side because I listen back through the audio feed. So feel free to come up. Matt can kind of tell you how it goes, and you guys can comment on any of the articles. And we have another Matt, moderator Matt. I'm moderating with Matt in a lot of different rooms. Matt,
and by the way, Matt called you Boomer. Did you hear that?
No, did he?
Yeah, when you're like, I can't find who's in the room, and then you go, "Oh, pull the refresh." He goes, "Okay, Boomer."
Okay, Boomer. It was a Boomer moment. All right, Matt LaMarche, tell us who you are and where you work, man.
Hey guys, Matt LaMarche here in Atlanta, Georgia, and super happy to be part of the show today. So thanks so much for doing this. And is it true? Are they actually buying at Zestimates?
That's the story.
Yeah, that is the story. So we will cover kind of what markets and how this story came about. It was released later this weekend, and not many people have been talking about it, especially in real estate circles. So I'd love to get your thoughts on that. Before we get into the show, Dan, would you tell people what this show is actually all about?
You know what, I'd love to. Now, when Ray and I met here on the interwebs 10 years ago, we met a long time ago. We met on MySpace.
28 years ago.
Yeah, I had Tom was my first friend, and then Ray was my second. But obviously, I'm a bearded man, bad man of real estate myself, but I had an idea for a show. And when I met Ray, I noticed something very interesting about him.
Really? What was that?
He hates penguins.
You know, it's not my favorite bird. It seems like they should fly. If they're a bird, why don't they fly? I am surprised at how far they could swim, but no, I'm not a gigantic fan of penguins.
And when they're in the water, majestic. Out of the water, just the exact opposite. Like useless out of the water, useless.
Which honestly is the exact opposite of me. I mean, I would say I'm pretty majestic out of the water, but as soon as you get me in water, I sink like a rock.
Well, have you seen Ray's one video profile pic with the beard flip?
The beard whip.
So I would argue, but anyway, no, I noticed.
Anyway, yeah.
Ray had a layout for the show, a format for a show, and it's the same format we use today. But I also noticed that he loves to give value up front to not only his clients, but just to other people, just as humans. So the show is about being more as an agent, but also being more as a human.
And one of the ways that we feel that agents can be more is to know what the heck is going on in the world. So this show comes free to you, where we have the Reader's Digest version of everything that happens. Is that do I need to like copyright Reader's Digest version? Anyway,
just do the TM thing. TM.
Yeah, the TM Reader's Digest version of all of the real estate news stories that have happened over the last week. We give you enough information so that you kind of know what's going on. You can at least have intelligent conversations with your clients and hopefully win some transactions. I've already had great conversations with our clients about the stories that we're going to cover today, and I know they will help you guys too. So we have Mario Flores, who I had a great meeting with last week. They have something that's going to take on Zillow. He said, I could see Zillow purposely undervaluing the estimates because consumers assume it's accurate and take advantage of the sellers. That's.
And by the way, Ray, where's that comment coming from?
That comment is from YouTube. Thank you, everyone, for watching the show on YouTube. We do appreciate that. Melissa Mara from YouTube says, the estimate for my place is about $47,000 more than what I paid for it almost 2 years ago. I wouldn't be mad about that number. Right. Yeah, so we'll talk about when you can hit the button and sell your home to Zillow through the Zestimate. But are you ready to get in these headlines, Stan?
100%.
All right. And just like that, we're in the headlines.
In case you guys didn't know, that was
the transition for the audio listeners.
If you're new to the audio, that's perfect for audio.
It's worse if it's visual. All right, so let's talk about this.
Yeah, there's a lot going on with it.
Zillow Group. The news came to me through like a weird video clip of a weekend news anchor interviewing a C-level executive from Zillow, and I saw this. I had several people that sent it to us, by the way. So thank you so much for the Bearded Men of Real Estate contributors that send us these articles. Right when it happened, I got the message. I watched the video. And basically, it's a guy that's in control of the data and analytics. I can't remember his position name, but he's on an interview talking to the newscaster about Zillow's estimates. And the announcement is Zillow Group is now using its well-known Zestimate value estimation to make cash offers on homes. It's part of the company's push to become a central hub for people looking to sell their home. There's a tweet from Rich Barton. He says, we are now a small but important step closer to realizing the big, hairy, audacious goal we set 15 years ago of putting a real price on every rooftop and enabling home shoppers to magically fly over the neighborhoods and see those prices. So Zillow launched the Zestimates in 2006 to the chagrin of many real estate agents around the country. At the time, they were off as much as 14%. In the interview that I saw, this weekend, though, they are now off only 1 to 1.5%. And they did not say if they were up or down. So this program launches in about 20 markets, and it launches in a subset of homes within those markets. So it's not everywhere. It's not available everywhere, but it is available with a subset of homes in 20 particular markets. Let me get to a quote from them. The world is going to one click. Why not real estate? That's where we're headed, Barton said. The fact that we've invested every one of these ancillary services and now can begin to stitch them together in a way that a lot of folks who provide point solutions can't or struggle with. This is a big strategic bet. We're really excited about early signals we're seeing, an integrated bundled offering. It just makes so much sense. All right, so that's from GeekWire. It's also from several services. You can kind of Google it. Dan, I'm going to come to you first, and then I'll bring up some Clubhouse folks, and hopefully we'll get some more comments on the YouTubes. What do you guys think about Zillow using the Zestimate to provide a cash offer, a literal one-click sell.
So, okay, so we've done this. I'm actually on Zillow right now, looking at my house, looking at 2 houses at the moment.
I think as soon as everyone heard this, that's the first thing you do.
Yeah. Because I've done it before, but I wanted to see the difference, and it's actually gone up by about 10 grand. So I'm curious to know. So they said we were 14% off. So let's just chalk that up to analytics
when they started. Yeah, when
and
they
AI.
started.
They were new, right? So it's a joke.
Right.
But I mean, it's been an ongoing joke for ever, and it hasn't really been fixed. And I always kind of give the number about 5 to 10% off,
Right.
And I do say plus or minus. They could be low. They could, because they can't walk into your house. They,
Right.
they're not walking into your house to see what you've done. And sometimes you walk into that house and you're like, dude, this house has it. It's got the chill backyard. It's got the cozy nook that I can sit in the bay window and read my books. It's got all that stuff. If you're not walking in a house as an agent, you can't really give the right value. You can ask the seller when you're pre-qualifying them, hey, out of 1 to 10, what is your house? And try to be very realistic here. But so let's just chalk it up to all that. It's a robot doing these calculations. But my curiosity is, and we've actually had one of our contributors, Clayton, he ran this. He went through the process, and it started his house. It offered at a very high number, and then we actually wanted a value and actually wanted a realtor to come by. That value dropped.
Interesting.
So I'm curious, and I'm going to run through it myself here on my house. But
I just looked at my house, and it seems like they're about $75,000 low. But they don't know how much work I put into it and what I did to it. And so one of the issues that I have as a real estate agent is when someone says, hey, can you give me a quick valuation of my home? Just kind of let me know the range. And I give them the range. They're like, that's quite the range. I said, well, it depends on a lot. Like, does your house
there's a lot going on,
like cat pee, or is it bougie and looking like Joanna Gaines? Like, what? I need to know all the details. So they say, whenever the newscaster asks the fella, how do you calculate these home values? They say that they take the averages and then they make adjustments for, someone having nicer interiors and all this stuff. So they say they make adjustments for that. But right now, in my estimate, they're not. But they're also not open in my area. So these may be areas that are, spec homes, and they know how it goes. All right.
That thinking. So now let's just say they were saying, hey, your house is worth this much, and it was 10% more. And then you want a real value. An agent actually comes by and it's not that. So that was kind of the bait and switch now, right?
Yeah.
But
what they're saying now is that it's the value that's on there is going to be their quote.
So that's my next question is, okay, so now I say, okay, cool. I want your iBuyer program. I don't want to stage my house. I don't want any pictures. I just want to sell it to you. So give me that price. Give me a cash offer right now. How are they going to maintain that if they're always off, if they're always over, or is it just going to adjust to what? I don't know. I just don't see how it's profitable if they're not physically seeing the house. Because any investor that I have, they want to see the house. They'll walk through it in 10 minutes, be like, okay, cool, 350. And then they're out. And then that's kind of their number. They don't budge. So I just want to know how it's going to be profitable and how it's not going to become a conflict of interest to have yourself offering for yourself for someone else that you're going to represent on the listing side as well. What?
That you created the valuation for yourself.
That you created the valuation for because you're believed to be a trusted tool, but you're not.
Well, you're a tool.
What?
Okay, so all right, let me bring up Lance from Clubhouse, who is the CEO of Realty.com, I believe it is. I'd love to get his opinion on it, kind of as a competitor in the marketplace. What do you say, Lance?
I think it's pretty interesting. It looks like Zillow is really going to be doing this in select markets with select homes. So I almost feel like they're going to be picking and choosing that the homes they offer this on. I looked at my personal home, and I actually have my home for sale in Boca Raton right now. And there's estimates actually $167,000 higher than what I'm actually asking for the home. And I know I priced my home competitively within the market right now. So in some areas, the homes are much higher. In some areas, they're much lower. But I think this is almost a publicity stunt to get more listing leads to come their way for the brokerage that they're building right now. And, all these people looking for these offers, Zillow's making a lot of noise right now. It's making it so the listings are coming their way without them needing to put in as much effort as they might need to. It's my personal opinion.
Interesting. That reminds me of the old, if we don't sell your house, we buy it.
Right.
That pulls in a ton of people, but no one in the right mind would actually sell it at the price that real estate agent is saying that they would buy it for.
No.
But Lance, it sounds like as soon as they open that up in Boca Raton, you just need to call them up, sell that puppy. Okay, let's see. Let me bring up. Oh wait, hang on, Lance. I see you talking.
So I'd like to see where the difference is between they don't offer it in his area, so they're way overvalued, but he's listed what he's 100 and something grand low. Because even with the crazy market, his house is going to get bid up, but not that much. So I'd be interested to see when they do actually offer in his market, will that price come down to where he's listed?
The price readjust, right?
Right.
All right, Lance. Let me come to you. I want to hear what you were saying.
Yeah, and I plan on keeping it. I plan on keeping at least one or two homes on the market, and I'll watch those estimates and see what really happens there, because it's interesting to watch it. When they say it's select homes, they're going to just pick the homes that are most lucrative for them, and everything else is just free currency for them to get listings out of. So that's the tactic I see them using here.
Well, or to get views on their website, right?
Yeah, that was my first thought too. Is like, okay, they're driving the traction or the traffic, which Lance was saying, and what you echoed, Dan, but also they know all the data. So they're going to open this up in the markets in which their estimates are the lowest and the resale prices have been higher. They even monitored those who the agents that put in the info and got the Zillow offer. And then the people were like, no, I don't want to use the Zillow offer. I want to sell it myself, or I want to sell it through a real estate agent. And they said that those prices were only about 1% off from Zillow's quote. Now, you don't know the fees and all that stuff that was included, because I think their fees were a little more. And he didn't say that they sold higher on average 1%. He just said they were 1% different. So if they have that kind of data, then I agree with Lance. They're probably putting this in places where, if Zillow's going to buy it for that, get it on the market, because it's probably going to go more. Mike Elizabeth Rodell says through Facebook, she says, unless you're in Arkansas and they don't offer that. So does the one-click purchase include closing costs and fees and stuff? All that, I don't know the terms of the agreement. That's a great question, right? You're looking at the price, but price is really only one term of the contract. What about a lease back? What about, I wonder if they have other terms in like a la carte fashion where you can, do you want a lease back? Do you want us to do this to your house? Do you want to, what do you want? And then you kind of pick what you want. That would make sense, actually.
Yeah, well, because when it first came out, the iBuyer program, it was, well, they're not competition for us, they're competition for investors. So they're just going to come in and undervalue something and then get it and then do their little flip and sell it, right? So
right,
how do these two work together is the question for me.
Let's bring up Charlene. Hopefully she's here. Charlene, tell us who you are and what market you work, and what do you think about this Zillow thing?
Sure. I work at Redfin. I'm a listing specialist. So I have a lot of insight on the Zillow stuff and Redfin now, because we have a platform for cash offers too. So my territory is Northeast LA and San Gabriel Valley, in LA. And I actually done a couple consults for homes that, done the Zillow estimate, because, Redfin and Zillow, I wouldn't say we're direct competitors because Zillow is not a brokerage, but we both do have the cash offer platform. And so one of them, I did a consult in Hollywood, and I saw that Zillow bought it and then they put it up on the market, but they couldn't sell it for the price that they were trying to get it. It was on the market for, 60 days. And that's very long in our current market condition.
Yeah.
So I don't know if, buying it at the Zillow estimate is going to be profitable for them at the end. I don't know if you guys want Redfin now information. I don't know if I'm overstepping or anything. Sorry. This is like my second day on Clubhouse, so it's very new to me, but yeah.
Well, welcome to Clubhouse. Your second day on Clubhouse. You are live on a international podcast. So welcome to the platform. And we, did become a broker technically. So as LJ Custon said, Zillow's a broker now. So I think they are becoming more and more competitive with Redfin. It seems like they're going that direction. And it'll be interesting to see what they do in the future. So thanks for sharing, Charlene. And, who was it? Someone last week was talking about a property that was represented by one of the iBuyers, and as compared to all of the other houses that were on the market, it was priced about right, but it wasn't as appealing to the buyer. It was cold, it was unfamiliar, it was not friendly, it was just a different feel. So until they get that
Right.
side of the transaction mastered, I think there's going to be a lot of room for agents to just provide a different level of service. But at the same time, I don't hate it. I don't, a lot of people are like, oh, I can't stand this, it's going to take out real estate agents and all that. I don't think so. I think it may make it more difficult for investors, but I don't think this is really a play versus real estate agents. But let me get to
No.
Terrence. Terrence, tell us who you are, what market you serve, and what do you think about this?
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I am Terrence. I'm in North Carolina. I service Greensboro, Hickory, and the Charlotte market. And as far as the Zillow stuff is concerned, my background is, we are investors, but my background is in car sales. And so Zillow, all of this stuff is like, it's pretty comical to me. Zillow is no different than like what Kelley Blue Book is, right? So when someone has a trade-in and they're looking for information, they go to Kelley Blue Book. Kelley Blue Book gives you a range and they say, hey, this is what the car is worth. What Zillow does with their estimate, they're going to do this cash offer. Somebody alluded to that, they have their estimates based off the data, but Glenn Sanford from EXP did a nice breakdown of kind of their total fees. Their fees in comparison to real estate fees are about 11% compared to about 6% commission side when you can put in the holding costs and all of those things. It's just going to serve as, they are going to brokerage. And so they're more so a competitor, no different than guys who are at Keller Williams versus Century 21 versus Remax. And so as an agent, you're going to have to be more competitive and get your skill set up so that you can offer similar services in that one-stop shop. They're no different than they're really just doing SEO and marketing and figuring out how to get to that, create that funnel to get to that consumer. I think everyone's scared because Zillow, we've helped build their brand and it's kind of coming back on us, but it's nothing really to worry about. The agents aren't going anywhere.
I love that comparison between Zillow and the Kelley Blue Book values and in the car sales. That is a solid comparison. I haven't thought about that one yet, but that is really like Kelley Blue Book's going to tell you here's about what you could get. The difference is that Kelley is not a buyer,
right?
But still, I think the analogy is a great comparison, which that's what Mike Elizabeth just.
Well, if you don't know what Kelley Blue Book is, it's a car valuation, and they give you a low, medium, and high. So if your car is in this condition, it's worth that, and then medium, and then high condition, and miles, and all that stuff, and they give you a range. You can kind of value your car yourself, and then you can sell it yourself, kind of thing. So what they're saying is let Zillow value your home, and then you sell it through a real estate agent to get the actual max money.
Yeah. Oh, wait. LJ Custon, man, you were on it today.
He's killing it today.
He gave us the link for kellybluebook.com/instant-cash-offer.
So they are.
So they are a buyer now. Which wait, Terrence is I can't hear you, Terrence, until I come to you. So hang on. All right, tell me what you're going to say.
So that's what I was going to tell you is Kelley Blue Book does have a platform where they give you an instant offer. That offer is much more in depth than their Kelley Blue Book trade-in value. It will ask you specific things about the condition of the car, the exterior of the car, the tires, the history of the vehicle, and then they give you a cash offer. That cash offer then goes to one of their partners. So it further models Zillow, right? Because say I don't take the cash offer, I know what Kelley Blue Book says my car is worth. Then they have their partners, which all their dealer partners pay for leads and opportunities. So if that seller who got that cash offer from Kelley Blue Book walks into one of their partners, that Kelley Blue Book is now going to draw a referral fee or a marketing fee from that dealer, which is the same thing that Zillow is doing. If you look at Zillow's complete numbers, they're only profitable in this Zestimate, and they're only wanting to find more ways to get into the transaction side, and that's why they're going to brokerage. So it's really just another competitor, guys. We'll be fine, I promise you.
That's so interesting. So that's just like the Flex program, right?
Yeah.
They're sending the lead, then taking the referral on the back end. There's nothing new under the sun. Like every time we do this show, I'm like, oh, wow. So, all right, let me get to some of these Facebook comments.
So essentially, Zillow is following Kelley Blue Book's model.
Yeah, pretty much. This is not new. This is just Kelley Blue Book.
That's all it is. It's been KBB the whole time.
All right, before I come to Nico on Clubhouse, I want to get some of these Facebook comments, and I also want to reference the profitability, which he was just talking about. So when the newscaster asked, how much money do you guys make off of the Zillow offers properties, off the iBuying these properties, and then you turn around and flip them? What is your return per home? And the executive's response was, it was like, it was really funny if you watch it back. I don't think he anticipated that question because he stuttered.
So they didn't screen the questions first?
I don't know, but he was stuttering like I am right now. And and then he started talking about how, it's really a long-term thing and their goal is to raise awareness, yada, yada, yada. Well, we know from doing the show that whenever they reported on the iBuyer program in years past that they lose millions and millions of dollars every quarter. And one of the things he said is that right now, this is just about raising awareness of the program, which is exactly what Lance was saying, raising the brand awareness of exactly what they're doing. And I don't think they're looking at it as a cost, like, let's make this much money per flip. I think for them, they're looking at it like we look at some Cutco knives. It's a marketing cost.
Right.
Yes, they may lose $4,000 or $5,000 on this property, but think of all the people that have been through that property and all the data they've collected and all the buyers they've gotten. And then those buyers that they referred to their partners, and then they get paid referrals from those partners. This is a marketing cost that they can afford when they're making $400+ million from real estate agents off of these properties that they're sending the leads to. So it sounds, to me, it makes sense that they would offer this and take a loss and not really care. Dusty Martin's with us. Hey, Dust. She says Zillow is most definitely a broker now. Got slapped hard by the ADRE in Arizona and forced to become a brokerage. Well, that's interesting. I didn't know that. LJ said you're also likely going to pay more in the transaction costs than if you were through a traditional realtor. That's what Terrence was saying too. A realtor will charge you about 6%. iBuyers charge 7.5%. 7.5% is the standard fee on their websites. The exact fee will be communicated to you during the process, which it does go up. Let's see. Matthew Clinton says,
and by the way, that's 7.5%. If you're paying a full percent commission or a full 6% commission with closing costs, and like even if you covered $1,000 in termite and all that stuff, you're still less than that 7.5%.
Matthew Clinton says, I'm about to see what they'll give me for my 60-day-old car.
But wait, there's more. Go to his next comment.
Oh, he says they won't buy it. He already went to Kelly Blue Book. They won't buy his Tesla. That's funny. Melissa Mars on YouTube. She says, remind me not to go to KBB to get my car's value. I don't need those calls. Oh, yeah, that's a good point. They're sharing their data there too. Dusty says, in my market, iBuyers are charging 11 to 17% while having billboards that say, don't pay a realtor high fees. Oh, that's cold.
Wow. So, okay. So, but they call theirs fees or whatever, but that the buzzword is commissions. There's been the sellers suing local boards for commission, non-transparency and all that stuff and non-competitive and all that stuff. So they call it, no, these are just fees. Yes, you pay more in fees, but you're not paying a commission.
Right.
So there you go. It's
technically not paying a commission.
It's better. Fees are better.
All right, so let me go to Nico, and I'd like to go to Manish and William. I know you joined. William Tong. Have we had William Tong ever on the show? I don't think we have. So I met William at a conference, and we had a grand old time. We went and ate Thai food at where there was a famous celebrity. Maybe he'll tell us when he came on it. Ate there just before. It was like Nelly or something like that. And we went to this Thai food restaurant with a bunch of the people from Tom Ferry. Super cool guy. He's the one that helped me find the places on Clubhouse that are not just like money grubbing gurus that are like, hey, if you want the answer to that, just go to my Instagram and then sign up for a class. And then I'm going to charge you out the wazoo $5,000 of coaching. So he helped me find a community of people on there called the Real Estate Network, which is where we are broadcasting live through. And the Real Estate Network is a group of real estate agents, real estate professionals that are all about giving more value, giver's gain type of thing. It's actually even been better for me than BNI was because I'm able to network with agents around the country, and those agents will send me referrals. I'll send them referrals, and they're legit people. They're not fakers. And so we have people that are new, like Charlene that came in, totally new to the game, sometimes new in the real estate industry and also new to Clubhouse. And it's been a really cool way to connect using audio only. And when I first joined it, I think I even poo-pooed it on the show. I was like, who is going to join an app that is conference calls turned into social media, right? But it's actually legit if you can find the right people. And
But
so,
then you used it and you got super excited.
yeah, after I hooked up with William and then he hooked me up with this group, then I was super excited.
Yeah.
But from everything I was seeing, I was texting William. I was like, William is just a bunch of blowhards on here, man. Okay. Let me get to Nico. Nico, I want to hear what you have to say about this Zillow thing. Nico was on our show last week. If you remember, he was getting groceries out of his car.
Yeah.
So here he is. Nico, what's up, man? Welcome.
Days
Oh,
are
wait.
usually my days off. So I'm actually going to Costco shortly after this call. After the podcast. So how you doing? How's everyone doing?
We're
You
good,
know what?
man.
So my take on the whole Zillow thing is for years, realtors kept on saying how the Zillow estimate was trash. It's not worth it. And this is Zillow pretty much putting them, they're basically hands in their pockets and saying, hey, listen, we're not wrong. And as a matter of fact, the reason why we're not wrong is because now we'll pay you for it. Now, listen, my Zillow estimate on my house is $100,000 less than my actual the comps in the area.
Whoa.
So if, in a way, I feel like they're looking to make money in some markets by basically buying the properties low and pretty much saying, hey, listen, we've been telling you for years, this is what it is. And this, now we're putting that to fruition and we're purchasing it. And other markets, they may be making money saying that the estimate is higher than what the value is. So I think it's just them trying to call us out and saying, well, all the realtors are actually wrong and we're right.
Oh, wow. Now, Nico, is it available in your area?
I don't know. I haven't looked into it. I heard it over the weekend like many others. And I just haven't had a chance to look to see if the North Jersey, New York metro area is in that market, if they offer it or not.
Because it's not available in Ray's area, and there, would you say Ray's 70 grand low, and it is available in my area and they're about 50 grand high. So I'd be curious, because if they are available in your area, then they're just trying to, I don't know. Why would they offer low or start low when they know on the open market? But again, that kind of goes back to, they just don't know. It's an AI.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think a lot of their data in years past, they had that score. You could go to their website and see the score. It was the accuracy number, and our accuracy number has never been within the range that they would consider confident. And so a lot of times we're having discussions with sellers, and it's not one way or the other. Like, in some areas, it's like they're always high over here, always low over here. It is literally all over the place. And there's just not a lot of spec home areas. Even our spec homes get customized. So I don't know. Arkansas is pretty tough to do comparative market analysis for appraisers. So to have an AI algorithm that runs that, I would say it's nearly impossible. So probably smaller cities and towns, I bet Zillow will kind of stay away from it, because any question mark in their data is an opportunity for way more loss than they're anticipating. And like I said, I think this is a loss leader for them. I don't think they really intended to make money on it. I think they use it as a marketing cost. All right,
yeah, but I mean, when you lose 180 million, but I guess, if you're making 500, I guess,
Yeah. Let me get to Manesh. I think that I said your name right. Are you in the room? Where are you from, and where do you work, and what do you think about this, man?
Hey, Ray. My name is Manish. Nice to meet you. I've been in a lot of rooms with you and enjoy you spitting those diamonds. Enjoyed listening to the last week that I've been in Clubhouse, and thanks for having me up. So I work in Greater Boston. I work with a lot of real estate developers and investors myself, and I'm very much not into the whole Zillow thing. I feel like they are really, in my opinion, the reason why they take these losses and stuff is because of balance sheet needs. I think that taking depreciation into account and the fact that, like you're saying, that they're choosing which markets to do a lot of this stuff in. I think there's, they're probably buying it, in my opinion, probably into a fund or selling it to some investors that they have some sort of, relationship with. But there's a lot of ways in real estate to take advantage of losses. When you're making $400 million on the other side, it can really turn into a pretty good tax haven. So I think that their whole process is, it's really all encompassing. I mean, they literally just bought my MLS in Greater Boston. Like they control all of us now, our whole system, like the actual RETS feed that feeds all of the MLSs in the state of Massachusetts. They now own that RETS feed. So their degree of like insurgence into the market is it's just unbelievable.
Breaking news. When did that happen? I didn't even see that. Zillow bought the Boston Rets.
Is that an MLS?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the MLS.
Is there a story about this?
Yeah, this is huge. I mean, this is what I think the agents, what you're saying, like this, I think this affects us greatly. It's basically, just now. So now what they've now done is, for instance, like if I want to use my local, the RETS feed also supplies in our MLS the market data, like, houses that have sold recently, the public records, and now when I want to put it on my own website, the public record supplied by my MLS RETS, I now have to give them credit on my website.
Wait,
saying this public record was supplied by Zillow.
Whoa.
What MLS is that?
That's the Greater Boston Real Estate Board. I think it's called MLS Pinergy.
MLS,
but the RETS feed is one step above that. It's like that's going to serve anyone that's receiving the data, whether it be my one MLS or I think there's 7 MLSs in Massachusetts, or all 7 of those.
Wait. Okay, wait. I found
the RETS feed. I think that's the key to understand that if they start buying all the RETS feeds around the country, they basically are our universal MLS system.
They become the full-on data provider then. And then could they, I don't think they can control that data because that data is controlled by agreements on the brokerages and such, but they are the data provider and it goes to them first. I found that there's an article that I can't get past this blasted paywall, but Zillow's buying a Chicago tech. I put
boomer.
I put in the search term Zillow buys MLS, and there's one in Chicago that came up too, where Zillow is paying $500 million for a Chicago tech company, and that may be the article, but I haven't. We're gonna have to do a little bit of digging. We'll definitely be posting this in the Bearded Men of Real Estate contributors group as well as the RETV group. But that is really interesting. Thank you, Manish, for letting us know that. That's
dude.
Yeah. No, I do a lot of this stuff for I'm developing like tech for real estate and stuff. So when a lot of this stuff happens, like for instance, my MLS contacted me to be one of their testers of their redoing their systems. And so when I started talking to them about it, these are the things that I found out after digging deeper, talking to the person that's actually running the kind of upheaval of their site. And so I know that they literally, from what I understand, it's like a $500 million purchase. And they're just going around and making sure that they control every aspect of this industry. And I think it's bad. I really think that, localized real estate, like you guys are saying, like, I don't think the agents are, I think the agents are very useful. I think the brokers are very useful. I think having a local understanding of the market is very helpful. My house, it appraised for, $180,000 more than the Zestimate. So I didn't sell it. I was just refining. But I know that Zillow's kind of estimates are really kind of, in my market at least, very much, if they were going to come in and try to buy things as a iBuyer, it's in their favor. So, and the other thing I wanted to bring up, and I'll leave you alone after this, is that, as real estate agents, we have to follow a lot of laws. Like I do a lot of, dual agency contracts, but I have to do them by the law. And now if they're going to be a broker, are they going to be too big to, control, to go back to follow the laws? Because I don't know how it is in your state, but in our state, I have to first provide a form that says, a notice of a consent to dual agency, which says, before I start marketing your home, if I am going to represent both sides, you're okay with that right from the beginning. And then after that I'm representing, I then have to give a notice of dual agency form saying, now I've identified a buyer. I am going to represent both sides. I again need to ask your permission to represent both sides. How are we going to keep Zillow honest about that when they're so big?
Wow.
Ray,
My
do you
mind is
So-
blown right now.
Oh wait, Lance wants to say something, but let me comment. Like you know when Walmart messes up, you know how happy everyone gets to sue Walmart. I think that's
Yeah.
what's going to happen with Zillow. Like everyone's going to find every little thing they can and try to sue them. So I think they're going to be, they're going to be beholden to the same law we as real estate agents are. Now, are there ways that they can circumvent it because now they have two companies, they have a brokerage, and then they have a search portal? And is that going to be the same? And how all that's going to be regulated? There's going to have to be some regulations put into place more than likely to work with companies like Zillow and some of the larger brands like Redfin that are doing the iBuyer programs. And we saw Coldwell Banker and Keller Williams also tried to start their iBuyer programs. So anytime a real estate brokerage interacts with a consumer and is not necessarily representing that consumer or is doing something for that consumer that kind of benefits them more directly, as in taking over the property and then being able to resell it for a profit, I think those are the points of conflict where we'll see a lot of regulation be put in place to kind of control them, tie their hands. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it'll stop them from growing. I mean, if they're buying the REITs feeds, which I still haven't found. I'm looking for this online, and we'll try to find it and report on it maybe next week.
LJ said he can't verify it in,
So
in his comment.
That's Lance, by the way, and that's joining us.
There you go.
Too. So if they do buy those feeds though, and they are in control of that data, that does put a lot of real estate agents who don't want to work with Zillow in a predicament, right? It kind of forces them to work with them.
Yeah, like
Maybe they did that or started doing that when everyone else was paying attention to the iBuyer program and when everyone else was paying attention to the showing time acquisition. They had another acquisition in there that just didn't get the news, but I'll see what I can do to find it. I'll also contact my Zillow rep because he's really cool about it. He actually, he tells me all kinds of stuff, who it's good for, who it's not good for, who the flex program's good for, who the flex program's not good for, what areas they're entering into and what they're not. And he's super chill. So it's,
does he know you do a weekly show?
Oh yeah. I send him our episodes.
So
here, I actually so this was interesting too. Last, I think it was a week or a week and a half ago, I had a great conversation with him and he said, so what are the agents saying about Zillow? And so we went into the showing time acquisition. I told him a lot of the feedback that we got from the show and the people on Clubhouse that came up and shared with us what they were experiencing. And, I told him my opinion, what I thought was bollocks, and then what I thought was actual legit concern. And I told him, I said, look, the number one concern, I think the legit concern out there is that we as real estate agents are uploading our data to a competing broker. And that's where the concern lies. Like if Keller Williams opened a showing service, I would never use it. My brokerage would never use that. And that's just good practice to have that division where they are a competing broker in my space. So why would I give them my seller's contact information? But that does not make sense. There are people in our area that redact the contact information of their clients from the showing, not the showing, but the closing instructions.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to be able to trust the other agent across the table, but they're sitting there redacting all that information. They give it to the title company unredacted, but they give it to me redacted. So, all right, Lance, what do you have to say, man?
So even if they did buy the MLS, and on your own IDX website, you wouldn't have to show Zillow. You would just show the broker display that the listing is coming from. So if it's coming from Remax or whoever your broker is, you'd have to display that, but you probably wouldn't in the IDX feed have to display Zillow unless they change the name of the MLS to the Zillow Boston MLS. So, I've been looking for 20 minutes now as soon as he said it. And I've also asked 3 or 4 people myself, and I still haven't been able to verify this either.
So I'm just going
to. Oh, wait. What'd you say, Manish?
On the email exchange with my MLS company. So the company that handles our RETS feed in Massachusetts, it's called Bridge Interactive. I can send you the article of Zillow buying them. And also, on top of that, I also took a screenshot of when they asked me to test their new systems, the MLS. There's also now, where it used to be an agreement between us and MLS, now you also have to sign a separate Zillow agreement, which comes from Zillow Group through my MLS system just to test the MLS system. So they do not own the MLS. They own the data provider that the MLS uses, and therefore the MLS is forced to now make a dual agreement with real estate brokers.
So can you opt out of that, or do you have to sign it?
Well, it looks so. I'm looking at it now. Bridge Interactive. I did find their website. On their website, they has frequently asked questions like data usage. Can we store Zillow data through the Bridge API? No. You may use the API only to retrieve, but it doesn't say can Zillow store your data. It doesn't ask that question. It says can you
Right. That's
store
not a
Zillow's
fact.
data? So it looks like Bridge Interactive is yeah. I mean, it's some kind of data and API provider. Since 2021, Bridge Interactive, owned and operated by Zillow Groups, right there at the bottom of their website. Okay, so that will send us on a trail. We can report back next week with more information. Thank you guys for including that. That's pretty awesome that you joined the show and gave us additional news.
Well, this is like when obviously we talked about it, but when Zillow bought Showing Time and they did buy, Tom Butts confirmed it. Yeah. Zillow bought Dotloop in 2015. But when they bought Showing Time, and my MLS which is the CRMLS, California Regional Multiple Listing Service, they sent out an email kind of late, in my opinion. It only went out a couple days ago, but I shared it to our contributors group, which we do have BMORE contributors with an exclamation point over on Facebook if you want to be a part of that. I shared it to that group, and essentially they said we have a contract in place and Showing Time is going to adhere to the guidelines or the rules of that contract. But what happens when that contract is up? Then what happens? So I think that, so Ryan says Bridge is not the data provider. They are an API provider. They just link the data provider to the end user. So, there's contracts in place covering all this stuff, but what's going to happen when there isn't?
Yeah. Or when they touch a spot that's not been touched yet. Mike Elizabeth Bordell says, yes, but when we feature another brokerage's property, it lists the agent's name and is not listed after 3 preferred agents paying for space. Okay.
It's interesting.
So that's interesting. Sure. That Bridge Interactive acquisition was made in 2016. So they've actually had that for a while. But that's very interesting to see I don't know how they're going to use this API or what they're doing with this API. So we'll look into that and call back. An API is basically a communications interface from one software to another.
They just how they talk to each other.
Yeah, that's the Raymonds. Get it? All right, so we have a couple of other news articles to get to, which we'll go through pretty quickly, but I think they're just as important for agents to know, and maybe even more so important, because if you know this data, then this will help you when you're sitting in front of a client, not to generate a lead or to follow up, but to actually be knowledgeable and intelligent about what you're talking about when you're talking about the market. All right, Dan, take it away.
Yeah, and part of the reason we're happy we started the show, because we found ourselves doing this, talking about these things weekly anyway. So this makes us stay on top of things, and to go through these stats and facts is just another reason why we love doing the show, but also just it really keeps us on top of our game. So I don't know, Ray, I don't know about you, but I bring this stuff up, I don't know, 5, 10, 20 times a week where I'm talking about something that I recently read in the news or discussed on the show. Yeah. But mortgage application demand stalls as interest rates surge to the highest level since July. They surged. Mortgage interest rates last week rose at the fastest pace in over a year, throwing cold water on an already cooling demand. And this article is from CNBC.com. Total mortgage application volume was essentially flat for the week. And when we say total mortgage application volume, that essentially includes new purchase and then refi. So it covers both. The average, is flat for the rising just 0.5% according to the Mortgage Bankers Association's seasonally adjusted index. The average contract rate, interest rate for a 30-year fixed rate mortgage with conforming loan balances increased to 3.23 from 3.08. So that's a pretty big jump, when you think about it. But again, said it last week, Ray, when you go historically speaking, under 3.5, under 4% is still really good. So it's interesting to watch how rate sensitive these things are. The rate was 34 basis points lower 1 year ago, but that annual comparison has been shrinking steadily. Last fall, mortgage rates were 100 basis points lower compared to the year before. This is a quote from Joel Kahn. He is the MBA's associate vice president of economic and industry forecasting. Mortgage rates jumped last week on market expectations of stronger economic growth and higher inflation. And then he goes on to say the 30-year fixed rate experienced its largest single week increase in almost a year, reaching the highest level since July of 2020. Applications to refinance a home. So this is now the breakdown between the two, between refinance and purchases. Applications to refinance a home loan managed to eke out a 0.1% gain for the week, and this says we're just 7.7% higher than a year ago. So you can see those shrinking. It's getting closer, but still 7% higher than a year ago. And by comparison, refinance volume in the middle of December was over 100% higher year over year. And mortgage applications to purchase a home increased 2% for the week, and we're just 1% higher than a year ago. So that one is interesting to read.
That's one of the lowest. That's one of the lowest higher numbers that we've heard. We whenever we were doing the show throughout last year, it was like 20, 40, 50% higher than that was a year ago. I think.
And then it got down to 14, 13, 12, but now it's 1%.
Now it's 1%. So we may be seeing a slowdown in the buying.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see, because right now, we're almost at the 1 year anniversary of our 2-week lockdown.
Yeah, good point. Yeah,
So,
maybe there were a ton of people that applied and tried to get into their home. We are going to see that impact. So basically last year, all of the, up 70%, up 80% is now going to be like, oh, we're down compared to last year. Yeah.
Well, remember what happened. We had all these things in escrow, right? And we went, well, wait, can I close? And there was we in California, we had forms that could say, if you have a reason because of the Rona, you can extend this escrow.
Yeah, we had those.
Or you can cancel. It became like a new contingency almost. So there was I remember it being kind of April 1st-ish. We were like essentially not shutting our business down, but shutting all of our contact database managers and all that stuff, shutting them down, and kind of just going to, hey, let's just check on people. And that was about a month from now we started doing that. And then it just went crazy. I remember about the middle of April. So it'll be interesting to see what happens over this next month and a half.
Yeah, well, I think we may have to look back like 2 years to do 2 year, 3 year comparisons. Like what was normal versus what was the Rona world.
Because remember, everything paused. It was an immediate pause. The second we hit that first 2-week lockdown a year ago, which we're still in lockdown number 8 or whatever. Anyway, it was a pause button. I mean, at least that's how we discussed it. Let's just pause and see where we're at. And we also remember we didn't know if we were essential.
Yeah, that's true.
So
there were some agents around the country that weren't, sadly, but it was like somebody pulling back a hammer on a pinball machine, right? It's just like pulling it back during that pause, and then they let go, and it was like a pinball for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Like Elizabeth Brodell said on Facebook, I spoke with a lender Friday who said that the rates were all over the place and that he was locking folks in as fast as possible because 1.25 is only an increase of like $60 a month. Folks are maxed out on what they're borrowing with a budget, and that $60 is making a difference, I guess, especially if they're having to go over asking, et cetera, et cetera. She also goes on to say, when I sit down with buyers now, we emphasize their budget, but now more than ever, buyers are pushing their limit because house prices are so up. And they look like, okay, we're pre-approved for 250,000. So let's look up to 250,000. Almost right now, it's like, no, let's just look up to 240 because you'll probably pay 250. If we look at 250, you're going to be out of it.
Well, every time I get into escrow right now in the last week or two, let's call it 2 or 3 weeks, actually, when I get a buyer into escrow, I get that call from the lender. Can I lock? Should I lock? What do we got going? Like, it's how quickly should I lock? And should I lock for 30, 45 days and all that stuff? Because rates are just what we would call volatile at the moment.
Yeah, to say the least. All right, so let me get into the next article, and then we can go to Clubhouse for some comments too on either one of these. Compass, they had an S1 filing that reveals $3.7 billion in revenue. All right, so top line, the company made $3.7 billion. That's amazing.
That's crazy. I mean, that's like tech company numbers.
Yeah. So what do you think their gain was off of 3.3 what? What was it? 3.7 billion. The company also posted a net loss of 270 million. Wait a minute. Wait.
Okay, wait. That just hit me. Revenue was 3 point.
So wait,
they're in the red for more than 3.7 billion. Is that what that's saying?
270 million. So they made 3.7 billion.
That's awesome.
And they spent 3.97 billion.
So wait.
I don't know. I come from a long line of trying to make money, and it's hard for me as a real estate as a owner of a real estate brokerage to compete with a business that doesn't have to make money. Both Zillow, that's like, oh yeah, we're just buying houses. We don't really care if it makes revenue.
It doesn't matter.
And Compass posting these huge losses. I know there's fancy stuff they can do. I get it, but I've asked several people, like, really, I mean, explain to me how this is a super profitable company. I feel like my company should be valued at like 8 million because we made like $100.
Right. So, and I've always, since pretty much day one in this business for me, when I'm talking to buyers, I was kind of likened the, what can I get approved for? And I said, well, you're going to have to speak with a lender. So, but then I give the analogy of if you make $1 million a month, that's awesome. But if you spend 2 million, then there's not going to be much we can do. So this is essentially that, dude. You made 3.7 billion, but you spent 4 billion.
Right. That's exactly it.
So I don't know what to tell you. And now they're about to go public, right? So
yeah, maybe they're just clearing losses off their books because they can carry losses forward. There's all kinds of fancy calculations they could do, right?
Yeah, that's where I don't know, man.
Well, you might recall last year when the Rona hit, they laid off 15% of their staff.
And then it went up and then they started hiring back.
Oh, no, that was Redfin that started hiring back. I don't know that we reported on.
Oh, yeah, it was Redfin because Redfin let go a lot more.
Yeah, they
lost, brought him back. Yeah.
And brought him back. I don't think we reported on Compass bringing many back, but one of the things we said was that seems convenient because you have a company that's kind of losing money. Hey, here's the COVID thing. Let's drop 15% of our staff. It looks good on paper. Things that companies do when they're trying to look good to investors is that they lay people off because it makes the numbers and labor go, or the productivity go up per person.
Oh yeah. Well, I remember when I was in the video game industry, and it was always this thing, like, cause a new VP or something would come in and just go, all right, cool. I'm not laying off anybody. We're going to make profits. We're going to streamline. Yeah. And then they'd really go, well, crap, we can't streamline without laying people off. So then they'd always lay people off. And that's how it's a very volatile, very unsure business to be in. Part of the reason I got out of it, but it was always just like that. No, we're not going to do any layoffs. Okay, well, we have to lay off 20% of our workforce, but what we meant is we're not going to lay off that many, just less than that. So it's kind of like that. But dude, my mind is blown today. All
right. So here's a quote from Robert Refkin. He's the CEO there. He says, our ambition is to provide agents with everything they need to serve their client, grow their business, and realize their entrepreneurial potential all in one place, simple, seamless, and integrated. We're replacing today's complex paper-driven home buying and sales process with all digital.
Doesn't mean anything.
that empowers real estate agents to deliver an exceptional service to every buyer and seller. All right, so that, like, I think he copied and pasted that from my website.
He just copied and pasted it from
everyone. Everyone had that on their website.
Yeah, he had a comment on CNBC, copy and paste. Then he had a comment over, with who's the guy that pushes the buttons and goes sell, sell, sell. He had to copy and paste it.
So here's a great comparison.
So CEO-y of him.
For comparison, this is what Inman did. For comparison, Realogy, the nation's largest real estate holding company and market share leader, posted a 6.7 billion in revenue, so double the revenue almost in 2020. Redfin did 886 million, but they don't tell me what Coldwell Banker actually made.
I want to know the net losses. Or
I want to know if they had a net loss or if they made money. All right, Compass posted a net loss of 388 million in 2019, which slowed to 270 million in 2020.
Slowed.
It's just I know. Okay, so back up Mario Flores. He said they're a tech company that buys brokerages to expand. They tried to build a CRM and failed. They bought a CRM company after that. Yeah, and that's a fine model to buy top producers and buy brokerages, and maybe that's why the losses look like that on paper. Maybe they're carrying losses forward. I got a college degree, and that's one of the things that drives me crazy about the numbers. They're going to
by that standard, Pixel Properties is worth 2 or 3 billion.
At least 2 or 3 billion. We only had 3 little offices. All right, let's see,
2
Andy
billion.
or Lance, you don't want to comment? Just flash your mic. We do have some people that want to comment. Let's see. I would love to get like a compasser. Yeah, I'm going to go to Andy. He's flashing his mic here. What are your thoughts on either Compass or on the market? What's going on with the interest rates?
Lenders that I follow, they're talking about the bond markets, which usually are an indication of the rates. But mostly what I'm seeing is people still getting stuff below 3 fairly easily. But the lenders are still screaming, do this now before they start ticking up week after week. And I'm expecting that for us come spring break time, mid-April, that there's going to be a flood of houses on the market, a flood of buyers, and the interest rates are going to start ticking up again. So not anything super significant over a few weeks or by the end of the year. It'll definitely be different. I did have a comment about Bridge. We use Bridge here. I'm local in Atlanta. We have 2 MLS systems that we are members of, and they mostly cover, most of it's the same areas, but they do cover a little bit outside of each other. So we use Bridge to input listings into both of those MLSs simultaneously. So I just got to go to one place in the Bridge, put in all the information, hit the button, and it sends it out to both of those. So all they're really getting is the listing information. You don't have to put any of the client's information. Nothing that isn't already public out there.
Does that information stream straight from Bridge to the Zillow platform as well, or does it have to go through the MLS and then gets resyndicated?
It goes through the MLS to get resyndicated.
Okay.
Now, if Zillow or does something else, they may sideswipe some of that stuff. I don't know, but as of right now, from what I see, that's the way it works. You put it in Bridge, and each individual brokerage pays for that service. It's like, I know when I owned a brokerage last year, there was just a handful of us agents, and it was $10 a month. So it was nothing. It was just a system to get the listing information into both of the MLSs at the same time without having to do dual entry. That's
interesting. So it seems like, one of the missions of Zillow, the thing that they claim, and that so far, I think they're probably on that track, is that they say that they want to buy the things in the real estate industry and make them better. So if they bought this Bridge thing, it sounds like they're improving it to make it easier for other agents to use. Would you say that's right, Andy?
Yeah, I'd say that's correct.
See,
it's one of those things that makes it so much easier to deal with.
Nothing to fear. Nothing to fear.
But fear itself.
Thanks for joining.
I'm more worried about showing time.
He's more worried about showing time. Thanks for joining the show, Andy. I appreciate your comments, man. So that's interesting. So that's a little more insight from someone that actually uses Bridge. And a producer extraordinaire will have to take that comment and then insert it at the end of the comments, because we have something called BMORE chops. If you go to our YouTube channel, we take each one of these news stories every week and we chop it into one segment, so that if you subscribe to our YouTube, just every day you'll get like, here's one news story, here's another news story, here's another news story, all brought from the show, or you can watch the show at length, like some of you are doing today. Also,
because we are live on the YouTube. So if you hate the witty banter that everyone loves so much, if you're one of those weirdos that doesn't like the banter at the beginning, you can either click through, there'll be the links on there to click through the articles, or you can go to the chops.
There you go. I'll go to Brandon. Brandon, do you have a comment on either the Compass thing or the market?
Yeah, I had a comment about the Compass discussion you guys were talking about. What do you guys think about EXPI? I mean, they're profitable and their operations and all that. They're doing really well, right? What do you think?
What brokerage are you with, buddy?
Well, EXP and Keller Williams, which we don't know about Keller Williams, but supposedly they're probably gonna go public. Now they're in shape for it because they have the holding company. But we don't really know. I mean, the discussion is literally about Compass, so I'm not going to bring in every other real estate company in the market, except it did talk about Realogy. Let me see what other it mentioned. It mentioned, is it Realogy or Realogy? Whatever. And then Compass reported accumulated deficit of 1.1 billion. I'm looking for others that they mentioned. No, it was just Redfin and Realogy. So no mention in this article of old EXP or EXPI or KW. Is it KWI? KWX? KWX?
KWX.
Yeah. Remax was not mentioned either. Pixel Properties, not a word.
No, but we did make a big purchase in Florida. Mm.
Right. Speaking of states.
Because it's like the same thing. Like I'm with Remax, but it's like when you're a Dodgers or an Angels or a Razorbacks fans, you say, we played great today. No, you sat on the couch while you watched them.
I am guilty of that. All right. So what's going on in Texas? I wonder if this is going to have national implications.
Okay. So a Texas judge finds national eviction ban unconstitutional. A federal judge in Texas has ruled that the national ban on evictions that's been in place since September is unconstitutional. And this is the judge, John Barker. He wrote, although the Rona persists, so does the Constitution, siding with a group of property managers who argued that the ban exceeds the power of the federal government. Landlords have criticized the CDC's moratorium, saying that the government was overstepping its authority and that they can't afford to house non-paying tenants. There have also been court cases or court challenges to the moratorium in Georgia, Louisiana, and Tennessee, although they were all unsuccessful. So advocates of the ban quickly slammed the ruling and feared it would trigger a flood of eviction filings. The winter storms that have led to massive power outages across Texas will only worsen the situation, they say. So this is a quote from Emily Benfer, who is a professor of law at Wake Forest University. This decision is a major deviation from all other district court decisions that upheld the CDC moratorium as constitutional. And she goes on to say, the CDC moratorium is a critical Rona mitigation. Remember, we can't say what it is. The Rona mitigation measure that protects health and safety by preventing the community spread of the Rona due to eviction. So this was interesting to me. There is research that has found that evictions lead to significantly more Rona cases and deaths in an area. So, which I need to go find that. There's actually a clickable link that you can go click on that. The judge in Texas hasn't issued an injunction yet, though he suggested he later could. Such a move would leave millions of Americans at risk of eviction. So I found another article. By the way, this one's from CNBC and then another one from CNBC. So there is, because of the new stimulus package and all that stuff, and here, let me click on it real quick. I think I have it open. Which one is, there you go. 45. Yeah, the second one. More than 45 billion in rental assistance could soon be available. So if you want that article, that was posted just a little bit ago today. That's on CNBC as well. We don't necessarily need to expand on it, but that could obviously have impact and help. So if this rental assistant is, I mean, that would prevent the people from being evicted, right? If they have help, they can pay it for the next few months, then that would prevent them from being evicted. So it'll be interesting to see, because I think it's through the final stages.
Let's be honest, though. Where does that check go to? Is it going to the landlord or is it going to the tenant?
Yeah, and then is the tenant going to use it? You know, the $1,200. What did they use it for?
Yeah. Hey, here's some rental assistant. Here's some rental assistance to all the tenants, and then but
I can't be evicted. So woo!
You can't be evicted still. So are you going to use that? I don't know. That's
well, maybe. I mean, what if it were that hyper local? You can have this check for rental assistance, but if you don't pay, because we know you can pay now, you can be evicted, and then your landlord can evict you. I mean, is that a fix?
And what if you're behind like 6 months and they give you $1,200 and that covers like a month and a half, maybe. Right. So you're still
and then what if things were getting better for you and you were in Texas, and then the storm and the outages hit, and now it's like, dude,
time to go back to California.
Yeah. that'll be the influx into California.
Everyone that needs rent. You know what may be a viable option for the shortage of housing? Speaking of people that need rentals, 3D printed houses. We've been talking about 3D houses, alternative materials, homes
forever.
Way to go, producer extraordinaire. Showing the wrong article. Shame.
Well, I think that's my fault. I'm gonna take the blame for that one. I have to
Okay,
go hop off. I know he's going to cut this out, but I have to go hop off and update my camera. So he goes, wait, Dan's not there.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we are.
Or maybe I'm just doing it on purpose because you called Ray a boomer. And what does that make me? Because I'm 10 years older than Ray. So
elder.
maybe it's a thing, Matt. Okay, sorry, buddy.
All right, so you can now buy a 3D printed home. This article is on CNBC, and they have a video of this thing. If you're an audio or Clubhouse listener, the 3D homes are actually coming to market, and it looks like icing that's just been kind of stacked.
Yeah.
It's basically somebody said it looks like a massive spout squeezing out of concrete toothpaste. It looks like a massive spout squeezing out concrete toothpaste in long lines, but the result is incredibly solid, resistant structure. The raw walls look a bit like concrete corduroy. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for.
There you go, concrete corduroy. That's a perfect description. It does. It looks like stacked toothpaste.
Yeah. I don't know why they don't like maybe do some concrete sanding to smooth that out, or at least float some. I guess it would be increasing the cost, right? I mean, they could float a material on top of that.
Okay, new business idea: 3D printed homes. You're the sander for the home. You come in after for the homeowner and charge $2,000. You sand the home.
Sand the home. Sand it smooth.
Okay, I have another question. So, because we talked 2 weeks ago about prefab homes, made somewhere else, just delivered and put together.
Yeah.
And this is kind of is this the first instance of 3D printed homes in America, in the United States, right? Because it was
for sale in America.
We could buy it, because before it was they were taking these and they were doing them in impoverished countries to help them have better living conditions. So that's the first year you can actually buy it. So, but doesn't this liken to like now everything? I mean, at least in California, new construction is kind of boring to me. It's all stucco. It's all a different shade of brown, and it's kind of bleh. They'll take one house and put like Spanish style on the front, then the exact same house and put, a cottage style front on it. But isn't this like 100 years ago when you could buy a Craftsman, you could buy a brick house, it's just kind of a different look, right?
Yeah. And this one is the most normal one, looking one.
I think it looks cool.
I think it looks cool too. And as soon as we mention it, it's like a fairy is in the air. As soon as we mention prefab or tiny homes or
boom, Christina's here.
Who shows up? Christina M. Smallhorn, who, if you have not searched for her on YouTube, you should. She said prefab is my deal. Yes, for sure.
It's like when you say Beetlejuice 3 times.
Yes, as soon as you say 3D printed or prefab. But what's interesting about this is I'm trying to find the price. They said half the price. They said materials cost to build a summer home with $26,000 for lumber, and so this is a lot cheaper using concrete, metal. We talked about. Hang on. Oh, sorry, I was getting a call. So we talked about metal and how much the wood prices have increased lately, and that maybe builders will start to switch to metal. Have you seen what metal's done lately? It's doubled in price. It's doubled in price. So now metal's going up too. So. This is a cute home they talk about on the article. Let's see. Oh, here it is. It's listed just under $299,000, about half the price of a comparable newly built home in the area.
Okay, but now
the charts for it, they said that they'll have 20 emails, 20 voicemails, 20 texts. By the time they respond to them, they'll get another 60. It's nonstop.
And that's on land, right? They've already purchased the land, and then is it new construction, or do you buy the land and then they build the home for you on that land?
That one looks like new construction.
Hmm.
So they can move to other states like Florida, California, and prove it could be done anywhere. There's no limit. So someone else was telling me about the process with this. You got to be very careful because, you know, if the wind blows and messes up, you have a wrinkle in your concrete.
Yeah. Or what if it blows a leaf into the side of your house?
Yes. There you go. Well, then it looks unnatural, right? So they've been trying to do this more.
Wait. Is this going to be like when a kid sees wet concrete and he jams his face into it?
You're going to have imprints of your kids' faces on the side of your house that you didn't go check when the concrete was wet.
Dan 2021.
Drawn.
Wait, where's little Tommy? Oh, he just went around to the back of the house while the thing printed. No big deal.
You'll see cat paws in it where they left it overnight to dry, and you see like a cat going up the side of the house.
little bird prints. Ah, oh, damn it, we missed the dove.
Oh, Melissa Mara, she's got a good point. She said, I could picture in my mind the pollen in the spring sticking between the grooves. Yeah. So I think it would be important for somebody to have a smoother to come out there and put a material over that to smooth it out. But I think it could be pretty amazing. I'm excited about the 3D printed.
I love it. I think it's awesome. It's great. There's a lot of, I think I'm going to get one. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do my own research.
Let's do it. All right. Well, that's all the articles that we have for today. William Tong just joined us back in Clubhouse. William, flash your mic if you're live? Okay, good. I want to go to William. I'm just going to go to you live, buddy. Here you are. William.
Hey, this is William.
Tell us who you are, what market you serve, and then I'm going to ask you some questions.
My name is William. I'm a real estate broker in Los Angeles, California, the Chinese food areas. And I do residential, investment income, multifamily, and commercial industrial real estate. Pleasure to meet you all. And let's grab some Chinese food sometime.
The Chinese food areas. I love that. And what was we went and ate some Thai food together, William, with the people from Tom Ferry. And there was like a rapper or singer or someone that had been there just before us. Who was that? Do you remember?
I don't even remember. I'm not in that scene, but he was definitely like super famous because like people had their cell phones out, and he was definitely a very popular guy. Do you remember who he was?
I can't remember at all. I just remember food was amazing.
It was for
it was like Nelly or something like that. I know it wasn't Ja Rule. It wasn't that old. It was something like
well, after Ja lost to Eminem in that rap beef, his name became pretty irrelevant.
Well, and didn't he have the Fire Fest thing?
Ja is actually inside of Clubhouse. I shared a stage with him once, and he didn't actually talk that much, but he was in Clubhouse.
That's amazing. And when MC Hammer is now on.
Oh, MC Hammer is legit. He's in the app all the time. Like everything I thought I knew about MC Hammer is like totally out the window. He's a freaking genius. He's like deep into an NFT space. He understands the blockchain, the metaverse. Like MC Hammer is super duper smart. Follow him if you are inside of Clubhouse. Turn the bell on. The next time he's in a room, he's talking about anything. Go in there and like you will get an education. Like it's not just the parachute pants and the sunglasses anymore.
That's amazing. And Vanilla Ice, I was in a room with Vanilla Ice the other day, and he was talking about all his real estate investments. And Barbara Cochran came in from the Shark Tank and was like grilling him on these investments, and like super aggressive. Like she was putting on, I think she was kind of putting on a show for everybody. And that like she was super aggressive, going, I don't know if I would invest in that. I just don't see how you can make money. I just don't trust it. Blah blah blah. And he was like laying out like, here's how we do it, and here's how we make money, and here's what our margins are. And she was like, oh okay. It was pretty amazing. But
we should get Susie Orman.
What was that? What was that, Dan?
We should get Susie Orman on one of the stages.
Oh man, I would roast her. I have to say, I couldn't help myself. No, it's been fun to see who you can kind of connect with in Clubhouse, and I have William to thank for even us having the show on Clubhouse, and also he gave us the honor of letting us park it inside of the Real Estate Network too. So anytime we go live. You can follow the Real Estate Network. If you're on Clubhouse, it's a little greenhouse at the top. Just click that and be sure to follow the club, and we'll send out invites for you to join the club too. And once you follow the club, you'll be alerted to all of the rooms. There's like a broker lounge later in the day, which is just people all around the country chilling, talking about real estate. It's really laid back, really cool. There's a lit AF room in the mornings that I think it used to be called like the 1 minute no BS answers, but now they're just like rapid fire questions and answers on topics. And Denny was not in there. Other people did an awesome job. I see you guys listening now. And they were talking about assistants and how to hire assistants, fire assistants. So it's super helpful. It's like every breakout session that has ever been at a conference anywhere is now on Clubhouse with the experts that are actually practitioners doing it.
Yeah. So you're not listening to an expert. You're getting people that are actually doing it.
Right. It's not the guru. If you're in the right rooms, if you're in the right spaces, because I know there are some other spaces which are pretty much guru heavy, but I have William to thank for giving us a hookup. So I appreciate you, buddy. And thanks for joining the show today.
Yeah, absolutely. In this space, I appreciate you guys. There's 60 people, 80 people that have been just enraptured by your guys' awesome podcast. So I'm super grateful that you guys took the Bearded Men of Real Estate into the Real Estate Networking Club, sponsored by the Bearded Men of Real Estate, and that you guys are delighting us with all of your information and your news updates. This is definitely what our industry needs, basically just real, truthful perspectives from people that actually do real estate without any sponsors, without any weird stuff on the side that may bias the opinions. But let's take the education and go forward as a community and move the industry forward.
There you go. And that's why
that's the best way I've ever heard it, by the way. We don't, not that we don't want sponsors, but we're not governed by anywhere. We're not, our money comes from us. We work to be able to do this show for free to bring it to you guys. So we're very appreciative of that comment. And then everyone listening in Clubhouse, I think Matt said it was up to almost 100 at one point. That's really, really cool. And we are, as far as my 0% research is, we are the only podcast that does this live.
I think there was one that tried it, but they're not consistent at doing it. So far, we've been doing it for like 4 or 5 weeks, and I think we're one of the only podcasts. We definitely are the only one that's streaming in 3 places: YouTube, Facebook, and Clubhouse at the same time.
It's amazing.
We're the only one so far that's adding the back and forth in Clubhouse. There's a new app called like Stereo or something like that, where people can like drop audio bites, and then the podcasters can include those in the podcast. But having a 2-way conversation like this, I don't think anyone is doing yet. So it's pretty fun to be able to do. And I appreciate the group and all the participants in there. Just like we said, with all the commenters and everyone, when we first started this thing, that's what makes our show different, is when other experts and other people around the country can comment on the show, add their 2 cents. They can tell us about Zillow buying this other company live on the air, and then we can research, figure it out, and figure out that happened in 2016 and all the details, and that it's an API and all this stuff. So that's what makes the show very different, is the added value, not only that we're able to go through the news, but that the participants in the show, the people that watch, are not just watchers. They can actually add value by giving their 2 cents on the show too. So we really appreciate that.
And it started kind of, Ray and I were already doing this stuff, and we love stats and facts, and it just kind of kept us accountable. But now it's blossomed into so much more. So we're very, very grateful for you guys and very appreciative of the follows.
Yep. Thanks, guys. And just like they said, we don't really have any sponsors, but this episode is brought to you by Zillow. No, I'm kidding. I thought about whatever.
But we forgot to mention that Zillow bought us too. Now it's not the 500 million they've been throwing around. It was like $80, but
we're cheap dates.
Yeah, still though.
$80, and they promised us some more leads. Well, thanks everybody for joining us on the show. Dan, before we leave, tell everybody where they can find you.
D Ludwig DLUDWIGROCKS everywhere, but pretty much just Instagram. Go find me on Insta.
Yeah, and you can find, I tagged him in my story. So if you're listening on Clubhouse, just click my face and then click the Instagram link from that. You'll see Dan in my story, and you can find him there too. I'm Ray Zorback, RAYZORBACK on Instagram, wherever good Razorbacks are sold. Be sure to download the podcast if you want to listen to the whole thing. You can also watch us on YouTube, check out our chops. You can find us on Facebook, pretty much anywhere we are there. Now, thanks to the Real Estate Networking Group, we're also on Clubhouse.
And thank you, Zillow. We thank you for this episode.
I tell you, man, every time we mention the Z, we get a lot of people involved. All right, we'll see you guys next time. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Love you. Bye.